Ding dong, the dumbass bitch is gone. 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 Ding dong, the dumbass bitch is gone.
Hey, and we're back. Just in time for Halloween. Now I was gonna dress up, but then I got tired and I got cold, so snowflakes. That's what we're getting. Snowflakes. Okay. All right. Excuse me. Now we got some catching up to do. Hold on. Where's Peaches? Hey, Peaches. Okay. Peaches is gonna help us get caught up. Child. All right, let's start from last week and bring it on up to this week. So on the 25th last week at 3:45, Cohen finished his testimony and the public was asked to leave. Court concluded Trump and an aide stayed inside, minus Attorney General Letitia James. Trump was asked about the remarks to the press that he made about who was sitting next to him, and that's when the judge fined him $10,000 in a gag order. Cohen, in his testimony, did try to walk back previous statements regarding what he was previously found guilty of. AG James had to clarify that there were hundreds of documents that corroborated his previous statements. Now, keep in mind, this week in the fraud trial, on Wednesday, we have Don Jr. testifying. Then Thursday, Eric is going to testify. And then next week, we'll have Ivanka and Donnie Sr. In the documents case, remember that trial begins in March of 2024. Trump is currently lashing out at potential witnesses, Bill Barr, and the prosecution, and Judge Chutkan. He want to go to jail. Because remember, that narrow gag order that was lifted was reinstated. And that's when he started losing his mind. We're going to come back to that in just a second. Now, via Truth Social, Trump has been threatening Bill Barr, as I said before, because he is a potential witness in the DC case. The way Trump is acting, it's as if he's viewing these trials as spinoffs of his reality TV shows. Like it's all about, that great moment, that villain moment, that ability to posture on camera and ratings. The only trial that's going to be televised is down in Fulton County, and we know you going down. But okay. Trump is now stating that he's prepared to go to jail and become, and I quote, a political prisoner like Nelson Mandela. I don't think he knows what words mean. And due to Trump's rhetoric, and this may land Trump behind bars, there was an Alabama man charged and indicted for threatening Georgia officials involved in the Trump election fraud case coming out of Fulton County. Now, regarding the 14th Amendment in Trump, today was the second day of testimony regarding Colorado's lawsuit, and they brought to the stand an expert on far-right extremism to explain that Trump knew exactly what he was doing in his wording and phrasing in order to incite an insurrection. Now, do I? Thought I had a graphic. I think I do. I'll put it up here in a second when we go over this video. Trump's attorneys did file a suit in Michigan to prevent a lawsuit there from having him removed from the ballot under the 14th Amendment. Now, this is where Trump and his attorneys are real delulu, like real delulu. Over 30 times they referred to Trump as President Trump, not former president, not 45th president, just like he's the current president. Like we don't know that he's not in office. See, some people are like, oh, I think he believes that he won. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He does not believe that he won the election. He believes that the title and the moniker of president makes him immune from all of these things. That's why he keeps tossing it out. And because his small handful of sycophants throughout the nation believe that he has this magical, mythical power, he's convinced himself that the rest of us do. He really has. Now, before we get into Trump and his Gotti-like tactics for defense, and a little bit more about his case, there are some other things that we really do need to get a little caught up on. Can't remember if I ran this one or not, but we'll start here.
Actually, Hamas started this whole thing. Remember October 7th? Actually, that's wrong. Before October 7th, Israeli security forces killed 248 Palestinians, and 40 of them were children, and that was just this year. And if you want to go back further than that, we can look at the recent history of war crimes committed by the Israeli government. Operation Protective Edge in 2014, Operation Pillar of Defense in 2012, Operation Cast Lead in 2009. Yeah, but you don't mention why Cast Lead happened. Hamas fired rockets into Israel. And that was because Israel broke the ceasefire agreement they had on November 4th, 2008, while the entire world was in euphoria over the United States electing its first black president, Barack Obama. Israel used the opportunity to break the ceasefire agreement and raid Gaza and kill Palestinians. By the Israeli foreign minister's own words at the time, this strategy of breaking the ceasefire was to preempt Hamas into an attack which they could use as a pretext for a much larger invasion. The fact that you don't see that is kind of baffling to me. Well, you're leaving out a lot of context. You got to go back further than that, to 1967. Yeah, let's go back to 1967, when Israel started a preemptive war against Egypt, Syria, and Jordan, and took more land from Palestine, further enclosing Palestinians into the Gaza Strip. They illegally occupied the Gaza Strip and the West Bank in what has been formally condemned ever since 1967 as an illegal occupation in violation of international law, unilaterally condemned by the World Court, the UN, the Red Cross, the Geneva Conventions, worldwide consensus. The majority of countries in the world all call on Israel to return to its pre-June 1967 borders. Yeah, but you're missing more context. You gotta go back to 1948. Okay, let's go back to 1948. In 1948, Zionists extirpated about 1 million Palestinians from their homes and forced them to relocate to the Gaza Strip. Today, about 70% of all Gazans are considered refugees from the 1948 expulsion. This predictably sparked a war. Yes, when you have colonial powers coming into a territory that does not belong to them and forcibly removing people from their land, it tends to get violent. Yeah, but you're missing context. What about before Christ? Invoking the Bible as an excuse to ethnically cleanse a population from its territory is a baby-brained middle school argument. Biblical rights have absolutely no status in the world today. No one can say that 2,000 years ago, this is my story of what happened, therefore I get to take this land from these people.
Now, also, here we go. Stemming from the heavy amounts of propaganda, there was a man out of Vegas that was charged with anti-Semitic threats towards a female U.S. senator. It is being reported that there is a 400% increase in threats and violence. And I'm saying reported because I'm pretty sure, unless you've taken a huge break from being online, you've seen tyrannical Big Z Zionists lying through their teeth about the chance at protest, about being chased down, all of these things. And I'm pretty sure, and if you haven't, it's in the Palestine 2023 playlist on this channel. You've seen the amount of Israelis and Jewish Americans that are tyrannical making fun of the Palestinians. So that's why I'm saying it's been reported. Because for there to be a 400% increase, this would be more of the news. Only thing I know for certain is that the old rat racist bastard that stabbed a mother and killed her son was in court the other day and pled not guilty. And we know for a fact that was the result of violence due to propaganda. Everything else, we just have reports. Because I'm sorry, there was one report that said that Jewish people were being chased down in an airport. Where? With all the security footage in airports, all of the people with phones that always want their world star moment, no one has footage of it. Even with Mayim Bialik coming out saying that in the hall outside of where I got my doctorate, they're screaming for us to be pushed back into gas chambers. That was a lie. That was not what they were chanting. They were chanting that they were charging Israel with genocide. If you feel the need to lie, to victimize yourself, to cover up something that you claim is just, that lets me know you know it's not just, you're lying. You're lying. So when you hear me keep saying it's just reported, that's what it is. I've spent so many days looking. I've looked in blogs. I've gone to people's pages. I've typed in keywords. Nothing is coming up. All of these attacks that are being claimed on United States soil against Jewish people, no one can find them. Because I'll be the first one to tell everybody to chill. But you can't find it. Now, the UN, with the leadership that they have right now, is still calling for a ceasefire. And they're saying to any and everyone who will listen that a ceasefire is a matter of life and death. And to all the Karens that are finally weaponizing their Karenness the right way, that are using all their frequent flyer miles, that are using their PTO buddies for extra babysitting, and taking themselves to these UN meetings and protesting loud and proud, demanding a ceasefire, it's about damn time. It is about damn time. Thank you. Thank you. Because we know when you get a gaggle of pissed off white ladies, we just might get something done. Now, also according to reports, there are an estimated 400 Americans that remain trapped in Gaza. Israel is closing in on 3 sides of Gaza City. Northern refugee camp, Jablia, was hit with a massive blast. There's still not enough supplies for everyone, and the United Nations states that there are no safe areas for civilians, hostages, etc. And the most pivotal thing, multiple times in English, and keep in mind, most Palestinians do not speak English. Israeli officials have said that there are no plans to negotiate currently for the release of the remaining approximate 240 hostages. This is why I'm very, very skeptical of the hostages that are now turning up dead, because the hostages that were previously released by Hamas talked about how they were treated well. They were treated with respect. And previously, Israel didn't even want to take these hostages. They had to be delivered to the Red Cross. Now, let's look at the global connection.
So what's happening now is some really scary shit, and few people are connecting all of the dots, so you'll want to listen to this whole thing. First, as you probably know, Donald Trump, with the help of Matt Gaetz, Steve Bannon, and others, got Kevin McCarthy thrown out as House Speaker for making a deal to keep the government functioning. And they have installed Mike Johnson as Speaker, who spearheaded an amicus brief designed to overthrow democracy and keep Trump in power, and will now probably do whatever the hell Trump wants, possibly denying the will of the American voter in 2024, especially if Democrats don't win an overwhelming majority. Second, a key objective of Trump and his cronies right now is to create havoc, like by arguing endlessly over funding the government, not supporting Ukraine, etc. And they know these efforts will make Americans even angrier at each other, will depress the mood of the country, as they also work to try and make Biden look feeble so Republicans can take over in 2024. And this is really important. They're getting this done by loosely and or aggressively collaborating with Putin, Saudi Arabia, Elon Musk, the Murdoch family, the Heritage Foundation, some corrupt billionaires, and who knows who else. Yesterday, did you see this? Representatives from Hamas and Iran went to Russia. That's the country Trump always apologizes for. Russia invariably loves the war in Israel to distract from the war in Ukraine. And Trump and Putin both want to stop America from funding Ukraine. Meanwhile, Russian bots and their naive supporters across social media are fanning the flames of hate between Arabs, some left-leaning activists, and Jews in the United States, pushing the atrocities that are happening in Ukraine out of the news cycle. Putin and Saudi Arabia are also fucking with global oil prices to make Americans angry at Biden. Saudi Arabia has enabled the Trump family to get access to more than $3 billion to control them. The Murdochs via Fox and Elon Musk on X are simultaneously working to control the narrative in this country with an unending parade of lies and misinformation to whip up the QAnon and MAGA crazies. Folks like Harlan Crow and a shadowy group of billionaires appear to be funding Robert Kennedy Jr., Cornel West, and the No Labels campaign to further depress Democratic support in 2024. And Donald Trump is terrorizing every single person who is trying to keep him accountable. If you think that the war in Israel and Ukraine are not connected, you are wrong. If you think that Trump, Putin, and Saudi Arabia are not collaborating to a degree, you are wrong. If you think that it was bad when the insurrectionists were trying to take over Congress from the outside, just wait now that the insurrectionists are in charge of the House of Representatives from the inside. If you think that you can passively sit by idly until it's time to vote, you may regret it for the rest of your life.
I'm going to continue with the second half of this, but if anybody knows anyone in the Taylor Mill, Kentucky area, please check on them. A car just went over the bridge on I-275. A car just went over the bridge on I-275 in the Taylor Mill, Kentucky area. So if you know anyone in that area, please, please, please check on them. Okay? Gonna go to the second part.
Let's talk about these two men and the use of religion in politics. When Donald Trump emerged as a born-again Christian around the time he was running for office, as a Christian myself then, I noticed a lot of things that were off when it came to Donald Trump being a Christian. In many interviews, he said the Bible was his favorite book but could never name a verse.
You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking about how it's your favorite book. I'm wondering what one or two of your most favorite Bible verses are and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into...
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
And I'm like, that's weird. Every Christian has a verse that means a lot to them.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal.
Before and during his term, he wielded the Bible as a symbol of hope for the evangelicals who made him Messiah. But in a white evangelical tradition that is keen on sharing the word, in a tradition where one's faith is one's life, he doesn't seem to understand the Christian Bible either, often taking verses out of context and even mispronouncing the names of books in the Bible.
2 Corinthians, right? 2 Corinthians 3:17. That's the whole ball game. Where the Spirit of the Lord, right? Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And here there is Liberty College, but Liberty University, but...
I realized as I got older, and it became very clear to me that he weaponized his proximity to white evangelical culture for power, a move that ultimately got him elected with the support of 80% of white American evangelicals.
In fact, with evangelicals, in Iowa just came out, I'm #1 at 29, substantially ahead of anyone else. I'm happy about that. You know why? That's the reason. That's the reason.
When it comes to religion and political power, then, could the same be true for Prime Minister Netanyahu? Now, I don't know how most Jewish folks understand Netanyahu's relationship to his religion, but in my research on this topic, I came across an interview by Rabbi Yaakov Shapiro. He's an author, a speaker, and an anti-Zionist public intellectual. This is what he had to say about Prime Minister Netanyahu.
People think that Israel is some kind of continuation of a Jewish government, but it's not. It's a completely different form of government, completely different values, completely different ideology, and completely different people. These are not religious Jews that are running the country. These are atheists. And yet, the Israeli prime ministers from Ben-Gurion all the way up to Netanyahu use the Bible as an excuse for ownership of the land. It says in the Bible, watch the Sabbath to keep it holy. Netanyahu doesn't refrain from work on the Sabbath. It says not to eat non-kosher food in the Bible. Does Netanyahu do that? No. There is nothing holy in the Bible that Netanyahu cares about. The only thing he cares about is his land. Restorationist Protestants, we call them evangelical Christians today, they existed hundreds of years before any Jewish Zionist was ever born. And because the evangelicals, the restorationists, had great influence in Britain, and Britain had the mandate, the Zionists very, very much adopted the Christian evangelical interpretation of the Bible, and that's what they use today. You'll find that Benjamin Netanyahu sometimes even espouses Christian evangelical interpretations of the Bible over the Jewish ones. A number of years ago, Netanyahu spoke in the site of the Auschwitz concentration camp, and he mentioned a prophecy in the book of Yecheskel about how the prophet saw dried bones rising from the ground and growing flesh and becoming live again. And Netanyahu said that that prophecy is fulfilled with the state of Israel, because the Jews were dried bones and now they grew flesh and they're real people again. This interpretation is not found anywhere in any Jewish source, because in Judaism, this is impossible.
In Rabbi Shapiro's commentary, and with things like Netanyahu's public gaffe and conversation with the Pope, I see a lot of similarities in the feelings that I had when I was a Christian about Donald Trump.
A couple of years ago, the Pope went to visit Netanyahu, and Netanyahu's bragging to the Pope, this is where Jesus lived, in this land, and he spoke Hebrew here. So the Pope corrected him. The Pope said, no, Aramaic. Hebrew was never the national language of the Jewish people. It was a holy language, just like the land of Israel was a holy land. Oh, by the way, if you see the clip and you don't know which of the two people talking is Netanyahu and which is the Pope's the one wearing the yarmulke.
Have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
I'm not sure I have. I just go and try and do a better job from there. I don't think so. Now, when I take, when we go in church and when I drink my little wine, which is about the only wine I drink, and have my little cracker. I guess that's a form of asking for forgiveness. And I do that as often as possible because I feel cleansed, okay?
From my perspective, I see two people using proximity to a dominant religious culture to grasp for power, and to have some religious separation from the inexplicable things they both say and do. If you need more context on the history of Netanyahu, go and watch this video on YT from PBS Frontline. It's about 9 minutes long. It's called Netanyahu, Rabin, and the Assassination That Shook History. I think what we see Netanyahu carrying out today has been a long part of his vision for the settler colony of Israel. A vision fueled by extremist violence and racism. A vision to permanently establish the settler colony of Israel and to rid the land of Palestine from its native people.
As head of the conservative Likud party, Netanyahu himself became the face of the opposition to Oslo.
The level of vitriol, the anger, the scope of these demonstrations, the kind of incitement.
Netanyahu found himself at the center of the anger. Tens of thousands crammed into the center of Jerusalem.
There were moments when Netanyahu was advised that, there are real nutcases in the national religious camp that we see that we need to calm down, even gesturally. Netanyahu never did that.
אני אומר לה בשם הציבור הגדול הזה, אנחנו כאן כי לעולם לא ניתן לחלק מחדש את ירושלים. אנחנו פה כי יש לנו רק ירושלים אחת ולשמור עליה.
Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments, and as always, like and follow for more content.
I was born in America. My father was born in Poland. My mother's family's from England. We have nothing to do with Israel. We're Jews. We're observant Jews. We're religious Jews. I wear a yarmulke. Netanyahu doesn't. I keep the Shabbos. Netanyahu doesn't. And Israel is not my nation state in the slightest. This is a unilateral claim of the Israelis, of the Zionists, and it's an assault on my religion. So too, the claim that Jerusalem is the capital of the Jewish people because it transforms the Jewish people from a religious identity to a national identity.
Now, I am very anti-founding fathers of the United States, but let me explain to you why I'm bringing this up. What's going on in the United States and what's going on with Israel was their biggest fear. That's why they wanted separation of church and state. That's why there's no nationalized religion within the United States, because they understood the power of weaponizing it. Part of the reason they left is because Catholicism and Protestantism were battling, and whatever monarch was in power and their dominant religion, they yielded over them. That's why in the United States, so many Christians have a problem with Christian Joe Biden, because he doesn't ascribe to their brand of Christianity. He's Catholic. He's not Protestant. And just like we see here in the United States, there's a lot of justification for genocide and the taking of land and the destroying of lives, because manifest destiny. God ordained it to be theirs. God speaks to them about everybody else but themselves. You ever notice that? That God always got a message, but not for you, to you directly. Even though his Scott Eddy handbook says that y'all relationship is supposed to be interpersonal, it's supposed to be personal. You talk to him, he talks to you. There's all these intercessories that don't know nothing about you, but always got a message for you. And now in Israel, that you see that. You see a bunch of people who converted to Judaism. Let me repeat that. Let me run that back for you. A bunch of people who converted to Judaism to get perks over there. No different than the folks from the United States that skedaddle down to the territory that we know as Puerto Rico for tax breaks and everything. And they've decided that their conversion now makes them the chosen people. and they can take whatever they want over in that slice of land. Mm-hmm. Forgetting that Jesus was Palestinian. See how tricky history just fucks up. Just fucks up all they little stuff. Mm-hmm. Can I help you? Why are you sniffing me like that? We've only been around each other. Lord Jesus. Get out of there. What'd I do? Now, we're going to trickle back just a little bit. This is what the judge had questions about today in the Colorado 14th Amendment trial. The history and application of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment self-executing? Does it apply to presidents? Because it applies to federal offices. Well, offices, period. The meaning of engaged and insurrection as used in Section 3. Well, you have precedent regarding the Civil War. And did Trump's actions meet the standard? I would say abso-freaking-lutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. Now, as I stated before, Trump has been trying to implement what, a lot of legal pundits are calling the Gotti tactics. Now, he's using a very light diet, crystal light version of the Gotti tactics. Maybe you remember, if you're old enough, there were like national headlines that said, "I forgotty." Because witnesses, the whole thing was witness intimidation. Now with Gotti, witnesses were coming up dead, family members were coming up dead, and then people were taking the stands like, "Oh, I forgot. I said that. I don't think I did. I forgot. I said I saw him do that. I don't think so. I forgot." Because they would rather go to jail than be. Now Trump is doing the same thing. But here's the thing. There were secret tapes that brought down John Gotti in the end. In Trump's case, there's public, and as far as we know, also quit secret tapes, because everybody who seems to be agreeing with and backing Trump and going, "Yeah, he's telling the truth. This is what's going on with him." Have you noticed that everybody has created recordings, have kept emails, have kept notes, have kept text messages? They're not going down with this shit. They are not letting him on the door. He's going to drown. He will be Jack. Okay, they're about to be Rose come hell or high water. Now another person that's trying to avoid accountability and time in court, is Vivek Ramaswamy. I remember one of his big talking points is birthright citizenship.
Did your father also take the citizenship test, and is your father a citizen?
He did not, and that's a choice that he has made for familial reasons.
When did your father take the citizenship test? Answer is never. So his father's not a citizen. Nothing illegal is going on, okay? But his father is not a citizen. Let's continue.
But my mother did, and I think that every immigrant who comes to this country in order to become a full voting citizen has to do the same. And I believe in being consistent about my policies where...
So your father is not a citizen of the United States?
He's not.
Okay. And your mother, when did your mom take the citizenship test? Was it before or after you were born?
After I was born.
After you were born. Okay.
At the time of his birth in the United States, his father wasn't a citizen and his mother wasn't a citizen. This means that he was granted American citizenship because he was born here. This is a type of citizenship that he wants to take away.
But you gained citizenship through birthright then.
Well, but you gain citizenship through birthright citizenship in that sense too.
He says, well, to the interviewer, he says, you also gained it through birthright. No, if her parents were citizens at the time of her birth, she gained it through, she has two American citizen parents separate from also being born within the United States geographically, if she was. It's not the same. It actually is different.
Wait, I'm sorry, just to backtrack. So your father is not a citizen, your mother...
They came to this country legally. They were in this country legally. So my view is
Right.
any kid who's born in this country of parents who are here legally, that's the scope of where birthright citizenship applies.
Now understand that that also is easily defeated. He says, listen, my parents weren't citizens when they were here and I was born and I got citizenship merely because I was born here. But they were here legally, and as long as your parents are here legally, then you should get citizenship. Well, the thing about that is you can be here legally as a tourist. You can be here legally on a student visa and have a kid. You are not a citizen, but at that moment you are here legally. You don't have legal status to stay indefinitely if you're a tourist or on a student visa. You have a kid. That kid is now a citizen. He opposes that, even though here he says as long as the parents are here legally. So what does he really mean? What he means is as long as the parents are here legally, I guess with permanent residency. So now he's slicing and dicing what he actually means and wants. This is Vivek Ramaswamy. Whatever is convenient for me is fine, but now I'm going to take it away from other people.
And one other caveat that Vivek never brings up, just like how Melania got citizenship through some strings that Trump pulled, because there's no way she got it on an Einstein grant. Vivek only needed one parent to become a citizen. And then they can kind of like pull the other one over into citizenship. Like, it's a slippery slope. It's all of this. I did it. I became a success, but I don't want anybody else to do it. But like I told y'all, Vivek is running from that Hamilton County, Ohio subpoena once he gets served. Once, I don't like going across the bridge, but I will. I will, because you know I love some good court tea. Okay. But coming from Markets Insider, a biotech firm founded by Vivek Ramaswamy turned $15 million into $5 billion by flipping a bowel disease treatment that Pfizer gave it for free. Here are the key points. Roche acquired a bowel disease treatment from Roivant for over $7 billion, the Wall Street Journal reported. Roivant made $5 billion from the sale after having only spent $15 million on development. Pfizer originally passed it over to Roivant for free last December. Now remember, Vivek is avoiding currently a subpoena from investors of his company before he switched the name. He loves to do that because he tried to do a pump and dump with an Alzheimer's medication. Now this development, there's never anything behind the development. It's like they get this stuff for a low cost or no cost, sit on it for a while, say that they tweaked it and sell it. That's what it looks like, allegedly. That's what the paper trail is saying, allegedly. When I told y'all, Vivek is not running for president. He's running to be Trump's vice president so that both can avoid time in a courtroom. But that's not how any of this works. That's not how any of this works. State and civil cases, do y'all not remember the Stormy Daniels trial? Do you remember what Trump's job description was and job title was at the time? Now, also staying on the campaign trail, because I'm an equal opportunity hater when it comes to all of the candidates, okay? I look for all the tea on all of them. I might not know the neighborhood gossip, but I know the political gossip, okay? Coming from the Hill, Cornel West returns donation from Harlan Crow. That was quick. That was expeditious. But it's not because he's not aligned with Harlan Crow. Because remember, when I told y'all before that Harlan Crow maxed out the amount of donation that he could give to an independent candidate, and Cornel West was taken to every place that he could to defend his friendship with him. And I was like, seems like Harlan is just buying up black men. Independent presidential candidate Cornel West said Friday he returned a controversial donation from Harlan Crow, the billionaire with controversial links to Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. And I quote, "How sad that perceptions so quickly triumph over truth in our decadent culture," West said in a post on X, formerly known as Twitter. "This holds in our major catastrophe in the Middle East, where the rich humanity of Palestinians is rendered invisible. It also holds at home in the minor scandal about Harlan Crow's donation to my campaign." Yes, this pseudo activist really compared him getting money from his buddy, a far right wing, I want to control the world so bad that I sued my own siblings out of my daddy's inheritance to take over everything. Mr. I collect Nazi paraphernalia, even though my wife's family died on a ship that was bombed by the Nazis, Harlan Crow. I got a memorial of statues to the greatest dictators and racist of all times, Harlan Crow. He compared his friendship in taking blood money from Harlan Crow to the genocide of Palestinians. But people still out here screaming Cornel West 2024. He is a staunch anti-Trump Republican who has never forgot collections of tyrants, Stalin, Mao, Hitler, and many others, and patriotic collections of Washington, Jefferson, and Lincoln, West continues. Does this disqualify him from contributing to my campaign? Most people holler, yes. I say no. Let me repeat this quote from Cornel West. He's a staunch anti-Trump Republican. Is he, though? Who has never forget collections of tyrants, Stalin, Mao, and Hitler. How would you ever forget them? And why do you need reminders? Why do you need collections? And as a Black man, that's such an intellectual, and right now I'm using that extremely loosely. Why would you be bootlicking for someone who has a collection of a former president that hunted down 2 slaves, even when it became illegal to do so? Another president who was raping slaves and in his diary called them his friends while actively breeding them because he was broke but didn't want to look broke. And a president who wanted to preserve slavery, but since he couldn't, wanted to ship every Black body out of the country and made it so that slave owners who already had homes and means and money got reparations for loss of income. But these same Black folks got nothing to start a life, just thrown out into the street as adults. Now y'all understand why at 18, your parents, so many parents want to kick you out now? So much stems back from that time. So much. But all of y'all, Cornel West. You sure that's what you want to do? And just a quick caveat, just a quick update on a story that I not only covered here a few months back, but I also did a blog about it. And some people were like, hey, you're reaching, you don't have all the evidence. Yeah, the accuser of Marvel actor Jonathan Majors expected to be arrested Wednesday in his misdemeanor cross complaint. There's video evidence, everything. He never did anything. But sticking with politics, let's head on over to the Santos crime family. Yeah, you heard that right.
Know George Santos, the notorious con man who became a Republican congressman? Well, apparently it runs in the family. This is his sister Tiffany. At least we think it's his sister. I don't think they've ever been photographed together in the same place. Tiffany stopped paying rent on her New York apartment back in 2020 and racked up $70,000 in back rent. She settled with her landlord for a reduced sum of $19,000, but then she still didn't pay, and her lease was officially terminated in May of 2022, and she has been squatting ever since. She's still in the apartment. Now, I get a lot of people struggled with rent during the pandemic, but in Tiffany's case, during the same time she wasn't paying rent, she was helping her brother George launder tens of thousands of dollars in embezzled campaign donations through her account. So maybe we don't give her the benefit of the doubt. Anyway, now they've roped Tiffany's daughter into it. Yeah, Uncle George here claims that his niece was kidnapped by the Chinese government for all of 40 minutes before they found her unharmed in a park. Santos says Beijing did it because of his strong stance against China in Congress. Meanwhile, the NYPD says he's full of shit, and it never happened. But lying to the NYPD isn't the biggest thing Santos has to worry about. In addition to his looming 23 felony indictments, his own Republican Party finally sacked up enough to introduce a resolution to expel him from Congress. Now, it is only a handful of Republicans in New York, in swing districts, who are being made to look bad by association with Santos in next year's election, but at least it's something. Of course, it remains to be seen if this will actually go anywhere, as new Republican Speaker of the House Mike Johnson needs to agree to bring it to the floor for a vote. And since the GOP only have a 4-seat majority in the House, and Santos's New York seat will flip to Democrat if he's expelled, I'll be surprised if anything happens to Santos here. Also, did you know that Mike Johnson is a creationist and biblical literalist? He thinks the Earth is 5,000 years old and that T-Rexes were on Noah's Ark. That guy gets to decide how much money the government gives to NASA. Good going, Republicans.
Let's also keep in mind that the Santos family are who keeps bailing George Santos out. So Sister Girl could have got the money for her rent. But now we have a clear picture as to why the family keeps bailing them out. They steal from each other. They steal with each other. They are the poster children for there's no honor amongst thieves. I will say one thing. They only kind of sort of snitch on each other. Like they won't fully snitch on one another. They just snitch a little bit. But now we see why they only snitch a little bit. They can't snitch a lot of bit. Because they would have to tell. They would have to tell what they're doing too. And how they help. Lord. Excuse me. Lord. Now, before we get into the final story, a little expose of the night, I do need to update you all on the latest walkout. It's the pharmacy walkout. The goal is to increase staffing and the pay of pharmacy techs. Now, I know a few pharmacy techs, and depending on the area that you live in, they're not being paid for the amount of work that they're paid appropriately for the amount of work that they're doing. Now, this involves CVS, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and these three companies said right now they're looking into it. Bruh, you're going to have to do more than look into it. And for all of the super privileged, super head in the sand people, they're like, well, instead of having the vaccinations and the boosters done at the mini clinics, at the pharmacy, why not do it at the doctor's office? Because everybody doesn't have health insurance. And we need everybody as we're still going through a pandemic, to be vaccinated and boosted. And a lot of these, because these shots are free, you can't really bill the insurance companies. So who's going to pay the wages for the extra work that the staff at the doctor's office have to do? Because I don't think a lot of people really realize what people do on their jobs. They only think about the services they go in to get for that one moment. So you're just going to overwhelm everybody. And then you're going to be sitting there with your nose stuck up like, why is Raphael here? I know for a fact he doesn't have insurance. How is he at my doctor's office? Stop. This is why we can't, this is a component as to why we cannot get universal health care. This is why all of these childish ass, highly entitled solutions. And I promise you, I'll give you two guesses. I'll give you two guesses as to who was flooding all of my comment sections today regarding this. And this should be at the doctor's office. But y'all, I have tried to warn y'all twice now, excuse me, over on TikTok regarding Lady Bedazzled Hannah. And y'all not feeling me because I'm seeing too many of my mutuals still tagging and stitching. And I'm going to break it down for y'all why y'all should leave her alone. She's legitimately upping the ante because we're moving into the holiday season. And I'm sorry. Don't pay her mortgage. Don't pay for her Thanksgiving. Don't pay for her Christmas. Don't pay for her child's Christmas. Don't pay for her New Year's Eve because we know her highly racist husband cannot hold down a job. And you can tell when he's unemployed because that's when she resurfaces. She'll die down and get quiet for a while and just do her little, ooh, off to Target, ooh, off to Walmart videos. And all of a sudden, when he loses a job and it's time to pay that mortgage and the holidays come around, she gets real racist. But here we go. Get comfortable.
This will be my final video addressing Hannah Lassiter, an overall disappointing, arrogant, and ignorant human being. For those of you who don't know, Hannah's recent pantomime of Native culture, while also shitting on Native culture, while also appreciating Native culture, while also mocking Native people openly in her recent videos, has come from me and my profile. From a video in which I mentioned that MMIW too is still a very real thing, and while Indigenous people are facing very real Indigenous issues, we still have people like Hannah and people like Amber Unavailable who never actually responded to me. Continue to perpetrate. And I want you to pay attention to that, Hannah, if you see this. You could have not responded to me. Just like Amber did. Not that she's any better than you, she's also fucking terrible. But you could have just let this shit die out. Hannah came in pretty hot under my original video, essentially saying that, ignoring the MMIW issue that I was bringing up, but saying that white women are also subject to abuse and rape and abduction all the time, and that Native Americans, lean in, that Native Americans steal white people's culture all the time. She said that. And now if you've stayed this long, take a second, grab a snack, pause the video if you have to, because we're going on a ride today, okay? We're going to the magical world of YT Supremacy Land. That's our destination. Let me escort you there. Hannah ignored almost everything that was said to her. Everybody that was either Native or not was trying to tell her that essentially she doesn't need to be doing what she does, nor does she need to defend the actions of her past with just doubling down on that ignorance. She accused Native Americans of being hostile, then tried to do the whole like backing down from a fight that she started. And one of the final things that she did throughout this that really pissed me off was constantly doing that classic trope of bringing up, the shit was so long ago, why are you blaming us? In Hannah's possibly most sinister move, she claimed that the culture that Native Americans steal from white people is art, music, food, architecture, industrialism, medicine, inventions, clothes, cleanliness, hospitality, generosity, and more. And then when I responded to that, she said that I just simply won't get it. If you didn't want to hear that in text, don't worry, she uploaded a video.
So to me, white culture is industrialism, cultivation, intelligence, cleanliness, order, generosity, and so much more. Check out my ethnic background. Don't forget some things don't show up in the results.
This is a notion with people who lean on the side of YT supremacy. They think, quite literally, that people of color were vagrant animal savages that didn't know how to speak the Queen's English, and they didn't know how to build a bridge. So that made them inferior to the almighty European genes. Now, a person like her is never going to read how the first hygienic products we're talking about, soap, shampoo, conditioner, lotion, hairbrushes, toothbrushes, floss, cuticle pushers, nail oils, keratin supplements, were all created in Africa. She's never going to read the books that talk about how African people and Native American people literally had to teach European people how to bathe. Literally had to say, hey, all of these diseases that you guys specifically keep getting and spreading around don't need to happen if you just wash your balls. Had to teach them to clean under their nails so when they're preparing food, they're not spreading diseases like cholera and typhoid fever. And the notion that white people specifically created ingenuity is hilarious to me, because it does not take much digging to realize just how architecturally advanced Africa and the Middle East was over a lot of the globe. There's a reason why there's so many different like sci-fi documentaries, History Channel documentaries on how the fuck they built the pyramids, because it doesn't make physical sense. And it's not just the pyramids. It's not just architecture. Agriculture, irrigation, scholars, scribes, astronomers, astrologers, cartographers, people who made maps, the first construction people, the first religions, the first every fucking thing you can think of that makes a human being different than animals was started by black people. And then those black people helped it spread across to all of the brown people across the globe. But anyway, let's get back to the point. I took it upon myself to DM Hannah. I realized that after she posted her first 2 videos where she was like, what a great Indian summer, and about how people are so reactive and these are very dark and evil times, I figured that I would reach out to her, as maybe she wasn't as intellectually capable to defend herself in text as she might be to by her own mouthpiece. So I extended the invitation to her to join me on a live over on Nightmare Kids, which you guys know if you know. And just me and her could talk about what she did, why it's offensive, and she could speak her piece so that everyone who disagrees with her could hear it straight from her mouth in plain English, word by word. And that way, if anybody had something to contest, she wouldn't be able to double back and not stand on what she said. I extended an offer to Hannah, which I didn't have to do, to come onto my other platform, Nightmare Kids, if you know, you know, and speak her piece straight from the horse's mouth, no pun intended, and so that she could look back at the things that she said on a live so that she could know this is what you said, and then you heard me tell you why that's offensive, where that comes from, why this isn't okay, and so you couldn't double back and blame somebody else for it. I wanted to give her that live platform. I wouldn't have let anyone else up. It would have just been me and her and having an open and honest discussion. She declined that offer. She also said that I was mean, and she's done lives before with natives and she got dragged. I tried to assure her that on Nightmare Kids, again, if you know, you know, we have people that are Trump supporters, that are pro-life, people who generally disagree with the things that myself and my partner Tony and the other Nightmare Kids agree with. And we have a rapport with them. We're able to have a civil discussion. Now, she could have gotten just straight up lumped on or dogged by the Native community before in a live. But I presented it to her that she would have a different point of view over here, and she still declined. Now, I don't know if it's because she homogenized us all and assumed that we're all just going to bully her. But she said no, and then she let me know all of this stuff. That cultural appropriation still does not exist. She kept referencing fuller indigenous people, or that she's part Native American, despite in that last video, as you saw, showing her blood work, as well as that YouTube video. Hannah, we didn't forget about it. You said out of your own mouth that you are not indigenous. You know, just given that great old rhetoric. So she also claims that she's white, that she's proud of her white culture, everything about white culture, white culture, white culture, white culture, but then still wants to claim that indigeneity. Now, of course, you can be indigenous and white, or you can be mixed like myself. I tried to throw her that bone. She still didn't want it. And I tried to level with her. And then I did let her know that black people invented certain shit that she tried to attribute to white people. And I tried to be like, you know what? If you're European, be proud, bro. I'm partially European. I'm German and French Canadian. Like, if you're partially European or full European, be proud. There's so many cool cultures in the European diaspora. This is part 2 of my final video to Hannah Lassiter. When we last left off, I was sharing my DMs with Hannah, and I didn't show this last part. She basically was trying to back out of the actual conversation and said that I think that she's evil and I'm never going to get it and yada yada. I tried to give her another caveat and say, I don't think she's evil. And I truly don't. There are so many levels to actual evil. Hello, what Israel's doing to Palestine, that are going on right now. I think that she is a misguided YT person who got treated a certain way for how she was raised. And instead of reflecting on that, decided that everyone who was saying, hey, that's ours, you can't do that. And her out of her own mouth saying, I'm not part of your culture. She chose to still double down and be like, I could give a fuck about your culture, but I appreciate your culture. But fuck your culture. I can do what I want, but I appreciate it. That's what she decided to do. Is it evil? No. Is it fucking garbage to do? Absolutely. Now, me doing this spun Hannah out into making multiple videos, including the one where she's dressed in one of the most horrible Walmart excuses for a native outfit I've ever seen, and others. So Hannah posted this on her Instagram about how the layers of culture trickle down. Now we're just going to address the top layer because I want to explain significance and culture to you. Food. Do you know why natives eat fry bread? Because it was the only ingredients given to natives so that they would starve themselves out, and we figured out what to do with it. Flags. Your flag is super important to you. In fact, on your Twitter, I found that when people are saying stuff about the American flag, like they're scared of it or it makes them nervous, you tell them to go live in North Korea. Festivals, fashion, holidays, music, performances, dance, games, arts and crafts, literature. You're never going to be able to understand the significance of why these things are needed culturally if you're from people who've continued to stomp over everybody else and erase their ability to perform their festivals or wear their fashion or celebrate their holidays or listen to their music or speak their native language. Let's talk about how 70% of Native Americans today are raised off of the res and not around their community. Why? If you need to ask why, you're already too fucking far gone. You know why. So then I decided to look you up on Twitter, Hannah, and while you don't directly tweet things that you're saying, you love retweeting. Now you have your typically offensive things like, transphobia, your racist dog whistling. You love blogging videos of Black people and immigrants and Spanish people misbehaving, don't you? We get a little bit of fat phobia. We get a little bit of people who aren't white are just complaining. Why can't we just have our fun? And then I noticed you love to brag that you're white. Now, why is that an issue? It's not. To be proud that you are German, Russian, Italian, Scandinavian, anything that falls under the European diaspora is not inherently bad. But to be proud to be white sits you in a position in the supremacy culture.
Now, that lovely creator may say that she's not evil, talking about Hannah. I think that she does. And if you would like to visit and see more of what Hannah has to offer over on Twitter, it's Hannah Lassiter. Lady Bedazzled Hannah everywhere else. Now y'all see why I kept telling y'all don't engage with her? She's banking on monetizing her harvest from rage farming. It is the holiday season. There's about to be an uptick. There's about to be a lot of white people telling us the same story over and over again with the same collection of relatives. Yeah, I checked my granny at Thanksgiving. Didn't you check that bitch every year for the past 10 years? Why are you still breaking bread with her if you know she's racist and not changing? Why are you taking your kids around her? Wasn't grandmama just babysitting your kids for that hot girl weekend? And on top of that, you're going to have a lot of people rage farming and race baiting, especially Black women, because we know what is more profitable than insulting Black women. They're going to mimic us. They're going to come out with the braids and the faux locks and everything else. They're going to come out in dashikis. All of a sudden, they're about to be the utmost authority in Kwanzaa because they want and need the engagement to pay these holiday bills. If you wanted to finally stop engaging in the content. For every one of those videos you see, click not interested, block them, and then go to a creator that's of the same community as they were mocking and boost them, duet them, stitch them, comment on their stuff, repost them. We are platforming these people. Unless they are flat out spouting disinformation that can be harmful, let it ride. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn till January 2nd of 2024. How many white heifers I see with box braids. I don't give a fuck how many Uncle Tylers I see in a damn dashiki. I don't care how many Rachel Dolezals pop up talking about, yeah, Kwanzaa. I don't care. I'm not paying nobody's bills but mine this holiday season. If you that hard pressed to sponsor a family, we got enough in need. Pick one of them. Because I'm telling you, around every holiday, when their birthdays come up, because trust and believe, once January 2nd hit, you won't hear much from Hannah. You won't hear much from none of the rest of them. Because I'm pretty sure live action Cynthia is about to make a resurgence too. Her hair probably grew out a little bit. It's the Christmas season. That rap album, that diss track she tried to put out against Crystal Crave didn't do nothing. She needs some type of money to pay the rent and get through the holiday season. She got a racist ass family by her admission and a black ass baby and a black ass boyfriend. Somebody got to make Christmas happen. You're going to see a lot of them have an uptick. You're going to see the coons start cooning more. I'm not raining on their crops. Don't feed the crops. Don't fatten the farmer. Out here asking all these other creators that are working their ass off to educate people. Why don't you have a bigger following? Why? Because everybody's attention is on the ones creating the problems. And then everybody want to look shocked when you see this problematic creator on the red carpet, on Netflix, on Hulu, on commercials. You're making them popular. They don't care how the numbers get there. These companies don't care how the numbers are there. Why do you think James Charles still has brand deals? They don't care how he gets the numbers. He gets the numbers. People hate him so much that they keep engaging. Trisha Paytas. Huge culture vulture. And if you really don't want to believe me, look at the whole fucking career of Gwen Stefani and Ariana Grande. Them bitches done morphed into every damn ethnicity on the fucking planet. They have worn everybody's culture as a damn costume. And still getting contract after contract after contract after invite because nobody gives a fuck how they're getting the attention. They're getting the attention. So if you're a designer, put your dress on them. Everybody gonna see it. Why do you think the villains of reality TV is who we all know by name, even though all of us don't even watch reality TV? They're going to give them airplay. I found out there's a whole show dedicated to villains from all the reality TV shows. They done put all them bitches together. Why? Because everybody wants to see. Everybody wants to hate watch. Don't fucking pay nobody's mortgage this year. If they kids don't get shit for Christmas, oh well, mom and daddy better go get a damn job. From what I hear, there might be some openings at Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid soon. Shit. But we have to stop. And if you see your mutuals, tell them, hey, it's hard, but you got to stop. Start blocking them. Start clicking not interested. That's why when I tell y'all, when I see certain lives and people are in the lives and I come back and go, hey, this person ain't who you think they are. Because in the wee hours of the night, they think we're stupid. They'll get in a live and talk about their fucking strategies and play victim. There was a whole crew of white supremacists who were helping each other out on lives in these little battles, drumming up controversy to get people to send them money. But they forgot. Online money still gets taxed, honey. They were creating competitions like, oh, this person sent me a rose. Yes, their buddy sending them a rose. This is what they do. And this is why you see certain people only pop up at certain times. If you can catch the patterns of your ex's baby daddy's second cousin, baby mama's third cousin's best friend from the second grade on Facebook from 15 fucking years ago, you should be able to catch the damn pattern of people playing in your face right now. Because just like the one black dude with the dreads that says all the fucked up shit, he's about to, he's about to make a resurgence because it's the holiday season. He's going to start talking about underage girls again and trying to pick a fight with Conscious Lee again. You see the same cast of characters every single fucking time. Just like Herschel Walker is still mad at Christian Walker. So Christian Walker is about to say all the things that's going to make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside right now because he want a banging ass outfit for Christmas, Thanksgiving, and New Year's Eve. Don't no tiger change their stripes that damn quick. Don't nobody go to sleep one person and wake up a whole nother one. This is not the movie It's a Wonderful Damn Life, okay? This is not a Christmas story. Ain't no three ghosts visiting none of us in the middle of the night and breaking our heart over Tiny Tim. We done seen Tiny Tim 1,000,001 times. Shit. I love the movies too. But we know Christian Walker did not go to sleep and get a visit from Tiny Tim and none of them damn ghosts and wake up with good sense on his damn shoulder. And also, y'all, please be on the lookout for these people. Now, I saw a creator just specifically talk about white creators, but y'all know me. I'm going to call a spade a damn spade. It ain't just white creators doing this. It's a bunch of creators who started their accounts and built huge platforms all over social media off of social justice. Now they don't talk about a damn thing social justice. They talking about tea. They talking about they OnlyFans. They talking about they dating life. They talking about getting into movies. But ain't no social justice nowhere on there. Because now they need to protect their accounts. Stop letting these folks play in your face. Stop letting these folks play in your face. And for anybody who's like, Taz, you just sound jealous. No, I sound grown as hell. I'm black, I'm queer, I'm a woman in the United States. This ain't a clout chase. This ain't a game. This is a difference. And I live in fucking Kentucky. This is a difference between, can I sit here and talk and kiki and make it to the next hour or no? Can I go get some groceries? Can I go get a cup of coffee in the morning and make it back home? Or am I going to be sent to the upper room? Because I don't know about you. But for me, I don't have time. I don't have time for people to be playing in my face and pretending like they give a damn about my life. Just for them to sell a couple damn t-shirts. And fuck on camera and talk about everybody else fucking everybody else on camera. We got 11 goddamn gossip sites all over the place. But not too many people in 2023 can name 5 activists. Because the activists ain't got no damn tea. Let me remind y'all, I moved further north in Kentucky because where I was even worse than where I am now. I am 2 exits and 3 turns, 2 exits and 3 turns away from where Breonna Taylor took her last breath. On one side of me, there is a state that wants to outlaw me existing as a member of the LGBTQIA+. If I continue to go north, there's a state that does not want me to have bodily autonomy and wants me to stay in the shadows and be subservient as a Black person. And if I step out of line, it's okay for me to be target practice. That's the reality. Having to sit and contemplate, should you continue to keep your hobbies? Because could engaging in your hobbies result in your death? That is the reality. How and who you date could result in your death. If you date individuals that could impregnate you or you could impregnate. And if that pregnancy isn't viable. Where you go when the public gathers, especially since COVID is still a thing, because if you get sick, are you going to be taken seriously at the hospital or will they let you die in the emergency room? That's the reality. That's not playing victim. That's not coming up with tall tales. That's not exaggerating things. That is the reality every single day. Do you take your whole purse into the store or just your wallet so they don't think that you put something in your purse? figuring out the outfits that you put on so they can't assume you stuck something in pockets. Wondering when you go out to eat if you're getting the ingredients listed on the menu or more. If you break down on the side of the road, is a cop going to kill you? Is a man going to kidnap you? Is a group of men going to try to gang rape you? Will 911 even give a damn about you? That's the reality. And that's why it pisses me off when people's combat to me saying I am pro-Palestinian freedom going, well, if you go over there, they would kill you. Bitch, you're trying to kill me here. I'm not welcome here. You stole us and brought us here and then told us that we were an unwanted house guest in a house that ain't yours. And you tell us to leave, but you make it impossible because we got to pay you to leave. You forced me into this toxic relationship. You didn't even put a ring on it. You supply me with nothing but pain and suffering. But then, if I escape, you expect alimony from me. Bitch, fuck you. That's why there's so many black people right now side-eyeing the fuck out of the tyrannical faction of Big Z Zionist Jewish people lying their ass out all over the internet. Talking about, we helped you, but you're not helping us. If you didn't catch the Time Magazine op-ed that I put down regarding African Americans in the Jewish community, and when they first started to divest from us, when we started to truly, truly collectively wake up again to the egregious way that Israelis treat the Palestinians, you might want to check that out over on TikTok. But that is my soapbox for tonight. Sorry I took y'all overtime. I was gone for a minute. Now I'm back with the jump off. Okay. Y'all know I had to be goofy for a minute. I had to be goofy for a minute. So I will see you all tomorrow, hopefully, with our favorite resident Ginger. I have to get with him to make sure. And I do have a new series on the way for you all here on this podcast. Gonna have a little sister chat. And I will be able to get with you all later this week as to when officially that series will be starting. But I think you will like who will be joining me here. And Royal Star is finishing up some traveling and some work, and he will be back on Sundays. So as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Y'all know I'll see you soon. And don't forget, as always, make sure you check out the links in the description of this video. And if you like this podcast, make sure you subscribe and click the bell to turn on notifications and bring a friend back with you. Unless you're anti-Taz. And if you're anti-Taz, your booty stank.